Premier League faces rising COVID crisis after Burnley v Watford is postponed. League straining to keep scheduled games on and clubs onside. Request from both clubs to call off Leicester v Spurs is rejected. The Premier League was straining to keep its competition on the road and its clubs onside on Wednesday night as postponed matches and uncertainty over COVID rules heightened the sense of a returning crisis. Burnley's match at home to Watford became the third top-flight fixture called off in the past week after a COVID outbreak in the visiting squad. The decision to postpone the match was announced at 5 p.m., as people were beginning to arrive for a 7:30 p.m. kickoff. A growing number of top-flight sides are battling outbreaks, with Manchester United understood to have as many as 20 cases among players and staff. Their match against Brentford on Tuesday was called off and they are due to play on Saturday against Brighton. Tottenham's game at Leicester on Thursday is set to go ahead despite both clubs calling for it to be postponed. Spurs are recovering from an outbreak last week that forced matches against Rennes and Brighton to be cancelled, and they asked the league to call off the Leicester game as they tried to reschedule the Rennes tie for Thursday. Brendan Rodgers said Leicester, who are dealing with COVID cases, would be without 9 players through illness or injury. He has no fully fit centre halves and both managers spoke out against the decision to play on. It's disappointing because we have always wanted to support all the measures, but when we need a little support with the extreme situation we find ourselves in, we weren't able to get it, Rodgers said. I'm sure there will have been games called off with less players than we have unavailable. It would be nice if there was a bit more clarity around the issue of how many players need to be unavailable. Spurs have seen 9 first-teamers test positive for COVID and their training ground was shut for 3 days from last Thursday on the advice of the Health Security Agency, formerly Public Health England. They face being made by UEFA to forfeit the Rennes match 3-0, which would see them exit the Europa Conference League. Antonio Conte said, "The Premier League didn't want to postpone the game against Leicester. Maybe because we postponed 2 games before, against Burnley, because of heavy snow, and Brighton. I can understand, we can understand. On the other hand, we deserve our chance to play against Rennes to go through to the next stage. We don't find a good solution between UEFA and the Premier League. It's not fair we have to pay for a situation that isn't our fault. It's a really strange situation because we didn't play through no fault of our own but because of a big problem and because the government decided to close our training ground." The Premier League considers postponement applications on a case-by-case basis. Although its handbook says a match can be postponed if fewer than 14 squad members are available, there are subsidiary criteria, such as the potential for drafting in under 21 players, that mean a game can still go ahead. It is understood that Norwich experienced an outbreak of COVID-like symptoms among their players before their defeat by Aston Villa but were advised to play on after the players failed to record positive test results. Jurgen Klopp also spoke out. The Liverpool manager argued in favor of players and staff getting vaccinated, calling it an act of solidarity, as he insisted his club had done all they can to mitigate the spread of COVID. He said the Premier League should be more transparent and confirm the number